Alright, hello everyone, it is Nigel here once again, and welcome back to System Shock Radio. Without further ado, let's get right into it. And by the time this video goes up, episode 67 will be out as well, so go check that out when you get a chance. And we got Tales from the Labyrinth coming out later on, and we have got live episodes of Night's Tales from the Labyrinth and System Shock Radio on Saturday night and Sunday afternoon, respectively. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So, our first topic is going to be about biopics. So, what exactly are biopics? As I pull up the dictionary definition here. So, it's a movie dramatizing the life of a particular person, typically a public or historical figure. So, basically, what it boils down to is mainly a reenactment, and it's a reenactment usually by actors portraying events of a person and their life, different moments of their life that usually make that person very noteworthy, and in some cases controversial. But I love biopics, and they're usually pretty fun and interesting for me, and very informational, and I prefer them honestly over documentaries, mainly because with a documentary, it's more people telling you about things that happen. They're explaining away how and why things happen, which isn't a bad thing. But I feel like with biopics, and maybe it's because I'm more like a visual type person, I like to see it acted out. I want to see you reenact. I don't want you to tell me about it. I want you to show me it through the reenactment and everything. So I want to see how it unfolds on the big screen. That, and seeing how different actors portraying different people convey how those people behaved and acted and everything, and nailing the mannerisms of those people is always pretty interesting. And biopics are stuff that's still are still being made to this day. For example, there's the King Richard one, which came out last year about Venus and Serena Williams' father, and there's the Elvis one that just released not too long ago. But I love biopics. They're pretty fun and interesting. Like I said, not always fun. Some of the stuff they talk about is pretty dark and pretty graphic, but for the most part, they're very interesting and informative. So those I really like to watch, and usually seeing how it's portrayed, it is pretty cool for the most part, except when they get things wrong. And sometimes they get things wrong, and sometimes they do exaggerate on different things, and they embellish different things, and that's mainly for effect, to make the story more interesting, which I get. But at the same time, sometimes the changes they make to it come as a detriment to what they're trying to tell. For example, with the All Eyes on Me about Tupac, how some of the inaccuracies there cause a lot of backlash for some people. But be that as may, biopics are still very interesting, at least for me. The next thing I want to talk about is Dave Meltzer. So, who exactly is Dave Meltzer? He's a wrestling journalist. He is the head editor of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, and what he's known for is a couple things. There's him just talking about pro wrestling and stuff, and then there's also stuff related to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, such as the newsletter awards that they have at the end of the year, and then his match star ratings. So, and mainly the controversy surrounding those, at least some of those, because when it comes to his star ratings, there's usually a lot of bias. He favors stuff that's not WWE or outside of WWE. He from different companies such as like New Japan or AEW has been getting a lot of favoritism. That's usually where a lot of his favorite wrestlers are. But then the stuff within WWE usually gets panned and everything. Some of it deservedly so, I'll admit, but yeah, the bias is definitely there, and he doesn't always try to hide it, which is why I say for him, obviously he's entitled to his opinion, and I'm sure it's a respected one, as he's been in the wrestling business, analyzing the wrestling business for quite some time now. But I also say don't take it as gospel. But when it comes to wrestling and everything, formulate your own opinions, if you like a match or dislike a match that Meltzer might have liked or disliked, then that's totally fine. But it's your opinion. But I don't really like when people look at him and say, "Hey, Dave Meltzer said this thing is bad. This match is bad. Therefore, it must be bad." And some stuff you may like that Meltzer didn't like, but there's some stuff that you may dislike that Meltzer like. So, formulate your own opinions, come to your own conclusion, and like I said, you can still respect his opinion and everything, and you can still listen to what he has to say and everything, but don't take it as gospel. Is all I'm saying. But next up, what we're going to talk about is Corey Graves. He's being cleared to wrestle. So, and I think this happened back at the Royal Rumble in earlier this year, but Corey Graves has been cleared to wrestle. So he retired some time ago, back in I believe 2015 or 2016, after repeated concussions. But after getting checked out by the doctor and everything, he was determined that he is cleared to wrestle. Now, so far he's only done it for his own assurance, so that he can determine whether or not he can actually step back into the ring. And since he has his answer, he's just sitting on it, and it's just for him, just for a personal thing for him to say, okay, I am cleared to wrestle and everything. But I wonder if they'll actually have him go back into the ring. Now, if he does go back to the ring, it'll likely be something involving Carmella, who is, of course, his real-life wife, so probably something mixed tag related or things like that. But it'd be interesting to see him wrestle, and going back and watching some of the stuff that he's been in, some of his matches and everything, and seeing what other people have said about him, he was pretty skilled and everything, and it's pretty interesting, his style and everything. And of course, he always worked better as a heel and everything, and it's something he still does, even as he's doing announcing and everything. He's like the heel announcer, not always to the best, but it'll be interesting to see whether or not he actually goes back into the ring and what he'll do if and when he goes back into the ring. But the final thing I want to talk about is why staying positive is hard. So, I'm someone who at least tries to stay positive throughout my life and throughout my daily life, but sometimes it's hard, honestly. Seeing everything that's happening, seeing a lot of stuff that's happening within the news, and then seeing stuff happening not just in my personal life but in other people's lives as well, within my friends and family, it's pretty disheartening and can really get me down and everything. And sometimes it's like, how can you stay positive? How can you walk around with your head held high when all this stuff is going on, and all this bad stuff is happening? These people being murdered, or these children being endangered, attacked, these people going missing and things like that. Like, how can you find positivity in all of this? For me, this is kind of what I do. I try to look at the good things that are happening in life. For example, with a lot of my friends, I see a lot of them getting promotions at their job, getting new jobs, starting their own businesses, getting married, having children, and doing all kinds of good stuff. Some of my friends make music. Some of my friends do like YouTube and Twitch and stuff. And they do like live stuff and everything. They're working on projects, things like that. Seeing stuff like that makes me happy, and seeing some of the stuff that happens in my own personal life that is good to see. It's stuff like that that keeps me going, saying, okay, there is some good happening in the world that is fantastic to hear about. And I love hearing about stuff like that, because it reminds me that even though there is bad, there is still good. Now, the bad is not something that should be ignored, but don't always let it get you down, and keep going. Hopefully, if you can, through your actions, make the world just a little bit of a better place, then hopefully people will do the same, and the world truly can become a better place for the most part. And I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I think it's true. It does have some merit to it. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for this episode of System Shock Radio. Thank you all so much for watching. If this is your first time watching System Shock Radio, welcome, and I hope you enjoyed. If this isn't your first time watching, if you're a returning viewer, I hope you enjoyed as well. But thanks for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.